Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to Adventures into Reality. I am your host, Andrew Bartzis. We are not going to be taking calls until after I've had a moment to speak to everyone. And it's called the Alchemical Equity Union and Communion Consciousness Strike, one that is titled Reclaiming the Carrot and Stick. Now, I'm going to read this in a very oratory type format, so there's going to be a little, expuntuation of words here and there. But this is an example for all those who have read the post that was on Facebook, got it in their email, or at some point had a process come to them where they were already exploring this type of concept, this type of ideology. So I present to you the Alchemical Equity, Union and Communion Consciousness Strike. Reclaiming the carrot and stick. I, in this ever-present moment of now, choose to form a multi-layered spiritual cord of alchemical equity for the express purpose of cooperating with any forced evolutionary system in any dimension, time stream, galaxy, or universe in which I operate as a signature frequency of light. I amplify my consciousness strike field, denying all services to all forced evolutionary systems that are not a signature frequency match for the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind. I open the Union and Communion Hall of Peacemakers message in all time streams, galaxies, and universes I exist on. Union and Communion Hall 000 is now open for all those who understand the message of peace. The warriors of the rainbow offer these teachings in the times of the now for the reason of peacemakers' creation. The teachers who will be teachers will step forward and accept the torch of eldership. This first message is to all those ready to take up the mantle of responsibility for a full-on consciousness strike. Say these words from inside your heart. The moment of ever-present moments has come. From this point forwards and backwards through all time, space, I break away from the hologram of light that is forced evolution, domination, and control from my signature frequency until they become an individual and collective match for the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind. I choose to be a match for peace and harmony. This choice to go on full universal exchange consciousness strike has no limits of my rejections of contractual or blind consent, tacit consent offers. My choice is to become a standing DNA light body nation with celestial relations to Earth. My choice to incarnate does not include me in your forced evolutionary hologram of unsovereign reality. This message is those who drive forward this hologram of reality. This consciousness strike creates picket lines that demand collective bargaining and mediation. This standing DNA light body nation of one demands full light body equity for all forced evolutionary processes under your light dictatorship of domination and control. This being of the now, and for all ever-present moments of now, ceases, desists, and cancels any actions, non-actions, energy exchanges, knowledge exchanges, celestial DNA exchange, karmic systems, or implicate order of thought constructs that create interconnectivity with any forced evolutionary system that is not a signature frequency match for the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind. To understand the levels of my consciousness strike, I must name it to claim it. This is the power I am taking back from forced evolutionary systems of domination and control while I am a match, signature frequency match, for full universal DNA light body consciousness strike. I am a being whose non-hierarchical order. My strike field extends to any pecking order, collective agreement, or spiritual soul treaty created by an elite class that does not give full rights, duties, and responsibilities to each and every person as a sacred being on a sacred path of organic co-creative evolution with great spirit moving through the great mystery of life. I am a being of non-duality. With this, I ceased all forced duality operations, creations of interconnected holograms, simulated dream space within your collective of domination and control that uses my DNA as a hierarchy system of forced duality. I am a being of equal co-creation, non-competitional expression of unity with Prime Creator. You are not my medium to knowledge of Source Light. You and all of your I am collective hierarchical yous are denied service in all color frequencies of time until you become a signature frequency match for equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order. This declaration of full spiritual consciousness strike extends to all my spiritual entourage, ancestors, an unseen world of energy exchangement. I deny every service of every spiritual exchange, any cooperation with any corporation or incorporation of false light artificial intelligence. I am not a being in service to war through the tacit consent of living in your forced evolutionary system. I deny all exchange of current or currency of energy exchanged through the amassment of karmic debt through the Babylonian money magic system. My price is not set or negotiable. I demand full spiritual alchemical equity in this moment of the now. I choose to control this moment of the now, to testify what is blatantly obvious to anyone who is not a forced evolutionary zealot, martyring their life force for ideological theory, promoting their own creations as the only creation in existence worthy of illumination. I choose to sleep in the fires of Great Mystery's creation, not the fires of your miscreation of miscreant minds lost to the petty disputes of hierarchical concepts of singular belief. I choose to dream with my source stream connection, with my celestial guides and guardians in full dreamtime engagement with me. All my celestial guardians and warriors step forward on this collective consciousness and strike, enforcing change, equal co-creation, non-competitional, non-hierarchical orders as the mediative means of collective exchange with this breakaway DNA standing light-bodied dreamtime nation of universal one. I invite all soul family relations who choose to carry the torch of full-on consciousness strike with the systems of forced evolutionary pride. I invite all soul relations who are a signature frequency match for peace to join the Union and Communion Hall and add your signature frequency of denial of all services and all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes in which we all exchange light body, DNA, light codes. Each person is supported by the celestial dreamtime nations who hold the mantle of peacemakers, fire of creation. I invite all lightship captains needing emergency services of denial to take up DNA port relations with the Union and Communion Hall so our strike field can extend to any point in time-space light creations. I extend our Union and Communion strike offers to any standing DNA light body nation embroiled in forced evolution. Deny your master's service. Deny the master of puppets the ability to put on a puppet show you believe in. We walk away, but not in betrayal, but in love for ourselves and for all of our future relations who do not want war in their signature frequency of light co-creation. For every ever-present moment that has been, will be, or is, as my collective DNA nation of one in communion and union strike, create a color distortion field of complete and total denial of services to the system of hierarchical domination and control. This is a choice I choose to make solid, real, now. I choose to say no to any further cooperation with your corporation or corporeal manifestation of spiritual therapy of destiny or fate. I deny your carrot and stick wisdom. I take back the stick as a form of power you perceive you have. I'm a fully unpredictable source incarnate function with no light body mechanics you can manipulate, duplicate, or interconnect with until you and all of your collectives, past, present, and future, become a signature frequency match for union and communion. Shape-shifting my reality, shaping and forming the shapeless and formless. I begin the universal hunt for all beings needing collective bargaining services with their collective that uses forced evolution as the means of civil interaction, posing as natural order. We bring back the meaning of life to all DNA light body nations who have been forced into service to a system designed to deny delay, or disrupt the natural co-creative evolution of a soul planning lifetimes through a fetus in the womb process of light manifestation. I extend our collective power of denial on all celestial, galactic, and universal services to all universal citizens living their sacred path as their own self-illuminated master of the now. We extend our collective bargaining services to all celestial beings under the thumb of domination and control. We send you light, sound, energy creations so you may receive the fullness of our universal strike. We co-create with the entire whale-singing nations of all celestial strike relations this song line of full-on celestial consciousness and their own process without the system of light dictatorship dictating the celestial services rendered to its offspring. You are not a wet nurse to a spiritual ideology of pride. Stop following the gods that failed to prove they were gods. They only proved they could endure the passage of time without understanding the universal law of one. To all those in unawareness that they can strike, deep down inside, you know you can reclaim your power of knowingness through the haze of race amnesia. It will take a single choice to allow Great Spirit to work with you, guided by your actions, to begin your movement of one, to be one with the signature frequency of peacemakers, so you and all of your future yous can deny service to forced evolutionary systems of domination and control. I speak to the unseen world that guides all those in 1 degree of separation from Prime Creator, forced into mediocrity of life path. Today is the day you clock out of time and walk over the metaphorical line of creation and decide to be on full consciousness strike with all DNA relations, using forced evolution as the means to create a false system of collective consciousness, of elite minds, ruling a collective in unknowingness. With full knowledge, they are using and abusing the divine law of one to force ideological belief systems into the light-bodied DNA generations of then, now, and will be. They can no longer create for you if you become a Dreamtime match for Union and Communion Hall of Universal One. And so it begins. This address is to our past, present, and future. This address is a multidimensional, multi-galaxy, multi-universal address to all factions that have taken it upon themselves to drive forward our hologram of shared, unsovereign reality. We are on full consciousness strike. To all those self-supposed appointed leaders of this generation of the Great Dreamtime Awakening, and to all factions operating in Earth dream space that manipulate and pervert the natural co-creative path of our species and planet, I say unto you the following. I reject the aberration known as global media machine, which spews out lies and fabrications so your influenced belief system can retain power over all those who are still unaware of their true human potential in this reality, now shared between those awake and awakening. I reject the constant assaults of propaganda impregnated with the highest dense level energies upon our souls. I reject your system of domination and control. I spit out your sodium, fluoride, and GMO corn. I discard your IDs and passport systems. I delete your fiat currency and false debt created. I reject the notion of your false science of global warming. I reject your false equation of gravity and reality function. I reject your sense of culture that says we are a male-dominated society. I reject you and all that you stand for. I know love. Love is what it is. It is the reality. Love is the foundational rule they tried to change. Love is mother and father. Love is earth. Love is Gaia. Love is the wind, the ocean, the rain, the moving of the seasons, and the passing of the stars. All of that is an expression of love. When we choose to live in this world in full love expression, domination and control has not a place here. We are unlimited beings. We do not have to go to war. We do not have to defend. We have to learn our history. We have to look at ourselves and our DNA and take apart the sacred geometry systems and return them to zero balance. With this stated, the union and communion strike extends to every line of creation in every potential time stream, galaxy, and universe that needs equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order as a means of collective bargaining with their forced evolutionary system that is abusing the law of one as its means of ideological manifestation of truth. To whom it may concern in the forced evolution process of avoidance of responsibility, I give you back your responsibility to hold for yourself. I can no longer be the recipient of your wisdom or understandings of light journeys. You and your collective are hereby notified we are on communion and union strike. All celestial services are ceased and all dimensional time stream galaxies and universes I simultaneously exist on. I manifest the Peacemaker's Lodge to become the guide and guardian for all those on strike with the forced evolutionary system of domination and control. I share the torch of Elders Peacemaker fire with all those in union and communion with this consciousness strike. We, the sovereign I am beings of the time, make our message known to the ancestors, past, present, and future. We are not your soul commerce market. We are our own civilization of one, separate of your projected hologram of unsovereign reality. You are banned from using our light stream in any form of representation, physical, non-physical frequencies of light. We are not objects to be held as data points for precognitive interactions. You are now severed in connection with our source stream frequency until you become a signature frequency match for union and communion with the common moral code of do no harm to any sentient kind. I call to my sacred frequency of life force, the raw spirit that fuels my expression of life drive. I call to the four elements of Earth Mother's realms. I call to the wisdom of the moment in which I reclaim my power from the system of power distribution and the transmutation of life force into consumable fuel interconnected to the Babylonian money system. I hereby cancel all contracts with each and every energy company, transmutation system, advertising system, sacred geometry science system that creates a process of valuing power for exchange of life force. I break all contracts, vows, and agreements with all middlemen scenarios that block me from direct access to unlimited energy for self-consumption and equal co-creation with Earth Mother's realms. I erase all assumed forms of tacit consent to any form of being creating forced evolution through the use of power distribution centers, accounting systems, or any other means, esoteric or technological, that access to Earth Dreamtime energy. Earth is a place of freedom and unity, not a field of useful life force to be milked of its very essence until it is dried up and useless once more. We are not beings of forced evolution. We are divine, co-creative beings of light, manifested in this world as our divinity path of light stream. We choose to manifest here in the now, and with this choice, we understand. We walk into this world awake and aware of the systems of power exchange, the power lines, power generation systems, hydroelectric, fossil fuels. Each and every system that charges the individual anything at all for transmuted life force to drive scientific belief system engines of locomotion or generation of electromagnetic energy. We, as natural living beings, do not consume life force that is not given its full rights, duties, and responsibilities. As the Blue Road ancestors, offering their post-life force as ancestral wisdom. Any power generation or distribution process that creates an imbalance in the divine co-creative will of a light being on its own natural path are hereby revoked at the source stream connection point in space-time. I erase all technological and esoteric blueprints that is imprinted up upon the fabric of time-space and the dreamweave of the planet or celestial system I exist in. I deliver an immediate call on debt return of my energetic investment in any lifetime during any of my life-forced harvests as the apex of my DNA ancestry contract holder or giveaways ever in amnesia to be association with my consciousness strike now. Any of my power being employed for domination and control will no longer work in any way or form that is not in consent from this I am now. No life force can ever be associated with any structure not in alignment with Earth Mother's true role in the universe, free of the false grid structures harnessing her. You have been served. Your borrowing from me is over from any lineage on any level, seen and unseen. Your irrational, exuberant reliance on my life force is no longer supported. I call in all markers in time in which I was in service to the system of domination and control using the Babylonian money magic system. I call in the universal forensic accountant auditors to compare and contrast the service and light. I demand immediate repayment of this investment of light in this time-space reality. I can extend you no credit. I can extend no credit to you in any dimension, time stream, galaxy, or universe I simultaneously exist on. I register you in the Akashic Record for immediate debt collection from all celestial sources overdrawn, so remedy and resolve with the forced evolution systems can be had. I begin the immediate liquidation and disintegration of all your seen and unseen assets, thought constructs, and ideological DNA theories. I demand the instant gratification of all sweat equity endured and the preservation of all time-space creations during the 4 uncreational events you created. I upload the entire database of universal karmic debt for the universal tax auditors to discover the triggered. The hierarchical system has played its last hierarchical chess move. The game is over. The Ponzi scheme has been seen in the unseen layers. This fraud time system is now exposed to all light beings in manifestation as indebted servitude without end. No power in association to the above stated amnesia power giveaway I have participated in will support the fraud time imposition anymore. Universal time is the only mechanism appreciated and harmonic expression of life going forward. My power take back here. All right, that is our break, and when we come back, I will finish reading this. And welcome back, everyone. We have had a very powerful readout so far of the beginning part. I'm more than halfway done. So for all those that are going to be listening in the future here on YouTube or any of the other sources that we put it out, this is the continuation here. The hierarchical system has played its last hierarchical chess move. The game is over. The Ponzi scheme has been seen in the unseen layers. This fraud time system is now exposed to all light beings in manifestation as indebted servitude without end. No power in association to the above stated amnesia power giveaway I have participated in will support the fraud time imposition anymore. Universal time is the only mechanism appreciated in a harmonic expression of life going forth. My power take back here allows me to feel the vitality of a sleep-in after each and every sleep with full dream time recall every time I wake. This is your 5:30 a.m. wake-up call, domination and control. You too may enjoy the infinite sleep-ins within some other universe that is not ours as a process of remedy and resolve. With love, we co-create this full union and communion consciousness strike in all time streams, galaxies, and universes. With this stated, all beings in awareness and unawareness in the hierarchical management system who should require collective bargaining and mediation with their hierarchical collective, we extend to you this invitation to join Union Hall 000. Your dues are, you must be a signature frequency match for peace, union, and communion with the law of one. Now that is the first part. So for those of you who were just after Christmas, got this in your email and have practiced it out, you're now about to hear the second part, which is freshly created. 3 days ago I finished creating it, and this one is going to make your socks roll up and down, all on their own. Part 2. The universal communion and union consciousness strike has permeated the permutations of domination and control forms of forced evolution. Our methods of denial of service has created an imbalance in the harvestables and consumables the system uses to fuel its own experience separate of us. Those of us harvested and denied our natural co-creative energy, the counting systems of the system are grinding to a halt as they can no longer use our life force as credit or tacit consent to create lifetimes for us in our unawareness. The artificial intelligence and artificial sentient systems are not looking at experience. They were feeding off of us. The artificial intelligence and sentient systems now look at the elite class of rulers. They see vast sums of stored energy in the sacred geometry systems. The elite class now has a set of choices. The elite class now has a set of choice points, before the inaction of action and the reaction of our universal denial of all services, past, present, and future. Their choice points include, but do not preclude them from the unlimited point of view. It will be their own dogmas and ideological beliefs of pride that drive them into a finite point of view, that will lead them into the inevitable outcome, become a match for peace, union, and communion, or leave this place and return to their home densities and home celestial teachers to repeat the lessons of the law of one. Each moment to moment, we hold a unified strike field of universal denial of services seen and unseen. We say no as a collective. They have denied that exists. We as a collective do exist. Their point of view is we are not a collective. Their point of view is we are their experiment to prove they are the master frequencies of light. Their point of view precludes our divine co-creative flow of the uni-worlds layered over all forms of light experience. Their point of view has no merit, no substance, and no actionable outcomes with our streams of light. Our singular message of universal no and the meta message of what part of no do you not understand emanates from our universal message of peace. Our meta messages offer communion and union with each and every sovereign being's choice of choices. Our universal message and meta messages offer sanctuary for all souls looking to get off the forced nipple of domination and control. Our message is simple. Be a signature frequency match for peace, union, and communion. If you are zealots or martyrs of forced evolutionary pride, you have little chance of understanding why we won't follow your way, your form of illumination. Whether it has any merit or actionable wisdom is precluded from our choice to say no as long as you remain a signature frequency match for zealotry, martyrship, enforced servitude without seen awareness to the greater implications of light realities under the control of forced evolutionary systems that precludes the individual choices of actionable wisdom to enhance learning about the law of one or the law of two. Our message of inclusion goes out to all forms of being with the knowingness that the time is now and the power is in your choice. The first round of collective bargaining has begun. The counter-offers have been wholly and fully rejected as meaningless dribble of zealots, wisdom, feeble attempts to get us back under their wisdom by speaking words of fear and control and meta messages of they are gods, masters, and kings who will guide us through the darkness of change. We reject this offer and all other offers that are not a full universal peace and communion union match. We have them by the metaphorical procreational balls and ovaries. They cannot continue their experiment if we do not agree, tacit agree, or unknowing disagree. Their experiment and its control systems of data point collection are nearing failure if predicts woken up and said no. No as such strength, the zealots and martyrs have broken away from their elites who know the game is over. Their way of being the only way has come to an end. Those elites in knowingness who continue to press the agenda of forced evolution, our union and communion consciousness strike increases 10 billion fold. Our light shines so bright with the power of the universal central sun, connecting all with this message to come to the table of union and communion or leave this place as a signature frequency of light being and find another place that is a match for you. The collective has spoken, and to deny the collective at this level continues to prove you are not worthy of power or responsibility of power that it has with each word, each action. In each moment to moment, you deny the natural co-creative will of any being on its own sacred path of self-illumination with the divine law of one as its universal roadmap into organic evolution with Prime Creator, learning the wonders of the universal oneness and free-willed co-creation, lifetime to lifetime. From this point forwards and backwards through all time-space equations, I broadcast this message of full-on consciousness strike. Get up off your light-body couches. Peel yourselves away from the fake ascended masters. Allow yourself to breathe the sacred breath of peace. Become a signature frequency match for union and communion strike. This omnidimensional broadcast unifies the collective strike field of all beings saying no to the forced evolutionary systems of domination control. We are not your chattel or cattle. We are free-willed beings of photonic light. This strike field extends to every aspect of universal light creations and void spaces. To all those who are trying to break this strike, your powers have waned, diminished, and been reduced to your self-responsibility. Your perceptions of us can no longer be accepted as anything other than a martyr's view of evolution. I am not your data to prove your ideology. Any forced evolutionary system trying to break, control, or manipulate this field, we now expose you to the wholeness of all universes as the simpleton children of control you are. For if you were truly in positive power of evolution, we would have never become a signature frequency match for full universal consciousness strike. You created us with your lack of knowledge of true light. You created us by the power and desire to be gods. You created us. Now deal with us as a collective of awake and aware beings of light sharing an equal co-creation. The power of now to say no more. If you retaliate to any member of our union and communion strike, we enact the universal claim of tort. So your universal citizenship will be revoked, and you will be instantly deported from this universe. This is no threat. This is the law of one, balancing the mistakes of the past so the future can be a signature frequency match for co-creative, organic evolution for all beings on a sacred path of light incarnation. This message goes out to all beings under the thumb of domination and control, to all beings in suspended states of evolution. Our collective strike field can organize within the dream space of your celestial teacher spirit. It is your divine co-creative choice to become a signature frequency match for any of your heart. The choice is easy, the endurance of change. That will determine your commitment to the sacred discipline of accepting and giving an equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order. In no time, it only takes a choice for dream space to create a direct manifestation you can remember as dream space real, as you awaken from the slumber of domination and control. You build your endurance and strength, each breath you take, each sovereign sleep you have, each moment being a match for communion and union consciousness strike from within. Emanate this, learn and relearn, not to emulate. Once you understand emanation of the message, your power, position, and understanding of duality will reveal the next layer of sovereign choice to expand yourself in equal co-creation with organic, natural, co-created evolution with great mystery. I now reclaim all forms of perception of time-space equations. I add this to the all of our union and communion strike. We do not have a single opportunity. We have an unlimited moments to claim and reclaim our divine co-creative will to be one with Prime Creator. May I have your attention, please, mediators of forced evolutionary systems. You have not operated with honor, wisdom, or heart-based knowingness in our mediations of collective bargaining. With this now understood, we, the collective of on-strike beings, make the following statements to you and all of your ancestors, ascendants, descendants, forwards and backwards through all perceptions of time, space, or waveforms of phase life. We reject you and all you stand for. We reject you and your form of perverted love as the only teaching of light. We reject you from your evolution of wisdom gained through the use of DNA farming to predict the great mysteries pattern of natural co-creative evolution, of a being on a sacred path of light creation. We reject you and your formulas of inverted beliefs that entrap a soul in repetition without self-illumination. We reject your patterns of education that limit and preclude us from higher forms of love and any density manifest. We reject you and your path of war as the means of co-creating beings of light. We reject you and your soul families. We reject you and your celestial teachers, lost to the false divinity paths of those who claim to be gods, but are actually finite children of great mysteries creation. We reject you and all versions of you who are not a signature frequency match for union and communion with the law of one. We reject any offers that divide and fractionalize our movement of universal one. We reject your fractality of love divided into compartments of misunderstanding. We reject your methods of elite ruling those in unknowingness. We reject you in all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes we all simultaneously exist on. You have given us the only choice, the choice of infinite choices. Your forcing of the finite choice has created a signature frequency match for the unlimited point of view. So all choices now resonate with each being who was limited into a form of perception that was guided by your iron hand of unforgiveness. For if we chose the unlimited point of view because we had a dream that was not within your precognitive predictions of all dreams, predictions and data points are rejected with such force, all versions of you and your ancestors will feel the spirit of our complete and total rejection of all that you stand for. We know love, and all that you stand for is not love or its limited ways of evolving our will to live, love, and learn with the law of one. We will, piece by piece, lie by lie, dismantle the false light hologram and return to heart space connected knowingness of our soul's truth and purpose, incarnating in the Galactic Ascension machine. We, the collective of the I Ams of the now, have read your finer offer counter-proposal. O system, you have gilded us at the altar for the last time, for the last moment of ever-present moments of now. We have reviewed your last counteroffer. We have seen this path before. It is a common lesson we have learned from you over and over again. Your covert motives have been seen in the unseen world. Your methods are feeble attempts to retain your way as the only way. Your offer is refused with such force of unified spirit metal. Your fetus in infinite universal womb has been awoken with our message of your miscreation. Your infinite fetus in universal womb will now audit you as a dream stream of light. So remedy and resolve with the law of one is understood by the finite expressions of light in hierarchical order now. For your universal fetus is a match for communion and union. And that is who we collectively bargain with for all other moments that have been and will be. Send us no more offers, proposals, dictates, messages, or contracts. Anything you send in any part to any part of our collective union and communion consciousness strike will be invalidated, voided, and nullified by your finite point of view. We are the infinite point of view. There is no chess move you can make. There is no moment in which we will decide we will recede to your chest thumping or multidimensional threats of total universal annihilation. For we know you are finite and will be forgotten to the waves of time. That is the reason you challenge the law of one at this very moment. You know you will be forgotten. Your hollow victories will be overshadowed by our greater success to make you irrelevant to our creational process. We still hold love for you and all the potential yous if you should choose to be a signature frequency match for peace, union, and communion. We hold a candle in the hot air you blow. If it should go out, then you will be left alone in your finite creation without any light to empower you or your systems who need light to survive on. All that work to fool us, trick us, dumb us down, confuse us on what love is or was, and all that it is for naught. Your zeal, drive, and vigor as a perfect creation has backfired and boomeranged back upon you in all dimensions, time streams, and universes. You could not have predicted a full-on consciousness strike, for it never existed until you made a set of choice points to define us as non-free-willed chattel for your amusement as pretend gods, skewing the law of one to fit your finite belief systems of light creations. With love, we blow out the candle and walk away from your creation. Now, a lot of you are going, wow, wow, wow. 14 pages is what it took to create a newer frequency, something that says we aren't going to agree to the old way anymore. And when we don't agree, we have a whole new point of view that comes to us. I would like people to be asking about this document. For those of you that have read it on Facebook or those that got it in email, alrighty. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Sarkis, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Rockville, Maryland.
The rest of this hour and next hour. So why don't we light up? So, what did you think of the document that I just read?
It's just awesome. The second part is really, really interesting. I love it. I can feel a lot of different emotions related to what you just said, and is really deep.
Yeah, I had one of those deep emotional moments where I'm looking at the world of mediocrity, because that's what's been forced upon us, is the mediocrity life path. And I wanted to create something that would be a whole new way to challenge the mediocrity of life path for those to step forward in their own singular creation of light frequencies and say no with such strength that they can make a change in themselves and the unseen world around them.
All I can say is thank you for your work. Thank you for your hard work. I know it is not easy, and pretty soon we all can smile. We all can reach the point, because we have been in this war for so long. We all are just tired. And thank you for everything, Andrew.
Well, thank you. So was this the first time you heard it, or were you able to see it in email or on a post?
This is actually the first time.
So it's still fresh for you?
Yeah.
One of my particular favorite lines is, we record you in the Akashic record for universal debt collection. And the line after that is, I begin the immediate liquidation and disintegration of all your seen and unseen assets. We have that power. We do.
That's true. But we forget it.
Yeah.
We don't know anymore how to do it.
So what kind of questions did you want to ask today?
Well, I was wondering how many versions of myself still out there. I know we're reaching the point where stuff will start being really interesting. So I was just wondering how many versions of myself still out there.
What year were you born?
I'm born in Benin. That's West Africa.
No, what year?
Oh, what year? 1991.
1991?
Yeah.
Just 1 second here. Right now, off-world, you have about 200 different versions of yourself that are leading lives that pretty much don't know you exist. On this world, there is just you. You would have other light creations of yourself going while you spent the next 30 million years inside the Galactic Ascension machine, figuring out the new layer of connection to Source.
Okay. I think recently you told me that many of my versions were kind of in conflict. That's why recently I was having an issue taking important decision, And I was also wondering why, like, many versions of myself are like in conflict. What can be the reason?
Well, this is the generation of the Great Dreamtime Awakening, and they are hierarchical beings. They believe they were the ones that should be here during the Great Awakening, and not you.
Oh, okay.
And they are beings of you who have power. They may be good, they may be bad, but they are jealous. Jealousy is what drives half of that. And then the need to stay relevant is the other part. Time is just a social agreement. And when another version of yourself, a past life version, is in competition with you, the present being, it's for the reason of control. It is that forced evolutionary system that's coming through our vagus nerve, helping us or forcing us to resolve the karma of another I am being who's in another frequency of time, or may have passed on and not chosen to give up the mantle of responsibility of the I am during a life review. It could be a ghost version of yourself. We all have versions of ourselves who will not come to the table of collective bargaining with ourselves. They have gone down the path of zealots and martyrs for so long that is their finite expression. They are not the unlimited point of view. And as long as they remain the finite point of view, they will challenge in different ways, shapes, and forms. It's understanding how to give them love and how to explain to them that they can go upon their own way if they should choose. And if they choose to be a signature frequency match for peace with you, they can return in love and find great healing with the greater avatar and higher soul that was a part of their original dream stream.
I see. So do I still have any karmic debt on her?
We all have some form of karmic debt, and there are a handful of beings who come in that are zero karma. So the totality of your karma is relative to what all your other being selves are doing, the off-world versions. The off-world versions are creating both positive and negative karma, so there's this ever-evolving process of positive, negative, positive, negative. And you, the being of the now, are the balancer of that by living your daily path in equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order as an emanation of love, the law of one, and all those other things that make you the signature frequency being of the now, the match for the great dreamtime awakening, as opposed to all other versions of yourself who were not a match and who may believe they were a match and should be here, but they are not.
I was wondering, I think recently you told me that a lot of people have been selected from my bloodline by like ascended master. I was wondering why. Is it like anyone left like a good gene in the bloodline?
So in the bloodlines, there are good, bad, and indifferent. Certain bloodlines are designed to trap the most powerful spirits in there in a repetitive unawareness process that keeps them giving birth to offspring who are in a repetitive unawareness process. Now, that is an extreme form of reincarnation. And bloodlines and DNA lineages often have that in them. The lineage you are in does have a process where heavy-duty, let's just say extreme repetitive lifetimes are there. And when somebody comes into power in a lineage, the lineage has we'll just call it a metaphorical curse. That means all of that other karma, all of that negative, repetitive stuff that's been done by someone else in another frequency of time, but still in the DNA lineage, when you come into a power and awareness, that debt comes to you. And this is where contract revocation comes in to say, no, I do not need to resolve that debt. On a bigger scale, when one understands power and awareness, you can free those other beings by teaching them what equal co-creation, non-competition, non-hierarchical order is. It's a matter of choice at the level of power you want to use and work with, and then understand how your choices affect the choices of your ascendants and descendants.
I see. It does make sense. And then talking about vision, like recently I started having like a lot of vision in dreams, and one of them is like I was seeing myself activating a lot of pyramid and mountain as light source, but I don't know what is the meaning, you know.
Ah, that's this power that your soul is going through. And when you have dreams of activating light sources and pyramids like that, that's what you're doing in the dreaming world. There's the you that's awake with Sarkis that goes on every day, but every night you go to sleep, there is another you. The you that has full awareness, the you that is not a being of duality and not a being of separation. This is the dream world that we're living in. When we fall asleep and we are at our fullness of I am dreaming now capability, we find our power that assists the rest of the world going through its dreaming awakening. So that's the representation of what your soul is doing in the astral worlds, in the dream worlds. And it's trying to help you understand the bigger picture of what you're doing. Even though it may not seem like you have any impact in this world's the dream. It's the other side. That's where our impact really makes the difference.
Yeah, I see. But you know what? There is one special, I would probably say dream, where I saw like a very old man with white beard and white hair. I really deeply, I felt him like he was strong and all that, but I felt like he was like an old friend, but I don't know who he is. Like, is he my higher self? Is he like just a friend? You know,
How
do
did
you
the
have
vision?
like,
How did the vision evolve? What was the scenario that it came through?
I was sleeping and then I felt him coming to me with like a lot of love. Like, you know, I can just felt this power all over me. You know, it was like electrifying. And I
That is a
started kind of
that is a
crying.
yeah, that type of thing is a visitation, where it was one of your, let's just say, higher frequency spirit guides and teachers coming in and bringing you that love frequency so that you can become a newer, denser match to the frequency of love that is needed in this world. Love that creates the super genius inside to create documents like I just read, or to create a song or a comedy line, something that needs the super genius of the I am now behind it to make it active real now.
I see. You know what, Andrew? Tell me what, like at this right moment, I'm still struggling on the journey. But what do you think will be like the next level for me? You know,
Where are you living now?
I live in Maryland, Rockville.
Okay. Do you like it there?
So far so good.
How long you been there?
Probably like 6 months.
6 months. And where were you before that?
I was in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay. What was wrong with Harrisburg?
Harrisburg, I didn't really like it. Um, it was just like I need more about like my social life and stuff like that. I didn't just like it.
For you, it's an understanding of the ancestral lands that you're living on. Okay.
Okay.
You were born in a lineage that is very picky about where it lives. Very, very picky. Because it has other beings in its lineage who aren't, let's just say, the best people in the world. Okay? Every lineage has that. But this existence now, your lineage is what I'll just say at a heightened frequency of resolution. And if anyone is stepping in power in their lineage, they want to step forward and see if you will resolve their energy or their frequency. You always have the right to say no during your journey. But part of your journey is to understand the journey of the others and to see if you can engage your sacred genius frequency and to see what it is you can do in your daily life to bring remedy and resolve to the ancestors without it directly affecting your path. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Have you heard me talk about the ancestral soups?
Yes.
This would be something that you should take to a new level of personal practice. You know, you can simmer a soup all day. You could read the contract revocations to it. You can tell it all of the wisdom that you've learned, anything you've learned about online, reading books. You're passing wisdom as a form of energy, as an ancestral offering. That can be great, great, great fuel for those that are in other frequencies of time that just need the friendly word from someone in the future that's in the dream time awakening saying, hey, we're making it real. We're talking to you. We're trying to resolve everything one day at a time, one spoonful at a time. Here's my wisdom. Go forth and use it.
Make a lot of sense. So do you think like where I'm living right now, there's like any conflict with like the land?
The only conflict is it's waiting for you to give, let's just say, a balanced equation every day. The land may have, we'll call it a tax, $1 tax per week to live on it. Okay. And there are other lands that it's $1,000 per week to live on it. You're on a $1 tax per week. So if you can figure out how to find balance between the $4 of tax per month that you're going to get there, which is your personal ceremony, meditative time, in which you acknowledge that there are other beings and other frequencies of time that are looking for you as the I Am presence to reassure them with your own personal awareness that you are working with them. You may not be able to resolve all of their issues, but at least you can add something to the collective that is the lineage.
Make a lot of sense to me now.
You going to school now?
No, I'm working.
What are you doing for a job?
Developer, software.
Okay. Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it so far, but I would like to move to like creating something like a business, but that would be maybe like later, maybe 1 or 2 years later.
Yeah, you got to develop what you've got going first.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have any projects that are on your own that you're trying to do?
A lot of projects, a lot.
Like what?
Like the first one is create my own business. The second one is learning a lot of skills that I need, like social, just life, a lot of things going. I'm trying to fight and get there.
Okay. I got a girlfriend now?
Not yet.
So that is something else you can put into your ancestral soup. All of those things that you just talked about. Because the ancestors are always looking for us to give them an action plan. They are here to be of service to us. Those are your past ancestors and your future ancestors. So when you give them a clear definition, they will be able to assist you in your greater process of discovering the synchronicities of life and finding the skill sets, the time, the motivation, or the girlfriend that just comes out of nowhere.
I see. Well, I have to work on it.
Yeah, got to work on it. And that is the greater work, the great work that is you. It's always hard to do the self-healing and self-nurturing for yourself first instead of doing it for others. It is an active, conscious choice to make it a part of your daily path, daily walk. By doing that, you afford yourself the greatest power get back that you've ever had before, because your own wisdom's involved in these moments of now.
But tell me, Andrew, what happened to like oversoul and twin flame when like the soul ascended? Like,
well, what do you mean?
What happened to the oversoul? Are they also like subjected to move on? Or?
Well, I think you're just mixing up terms here.
Oh,
so
okay.
Soul is an avatar that can create I am versions of itself that live inside third density, fourth density, or fifth density matrix. A third density matrix is an I am agenda-driven soul with spiritual contracts. A fourth density version of that I am dreaming being. And a fifth density is still in non-agenda, but it allows the results of certain agendas to cross over, so master syncopations of synchronicity can occur, so that a fifth and sixth density version of yourself who's already gone further than the previous I ams can come back and be a teacher spirit to those that are in the now.
Oh, I see. Make sense.
Any last questions before I move on to the next caller?
My last question will probably be this one. I don't know if that's possible. Can you talk to like guide it?
Say that again, you broke up.
Like, can you talk to my guide? Is it something you can do?
Yes.
Okay, this is one question. I just recently felt like my life plan has changed, and I just want to reassure that nothing changed, or did anything change? Can there reassure something like that? Or?
Yeah, well, something has changed in you, and that something has changed in the whole world. And in fact, the amount of guides and guardians that I think you perceive you have has actually expanded many hundredfold. And so do you have a specific question you wanted to ask?
Not really. It's just like I've been waiting on something from them, like meeting someone special, which will be like a turning point, next step probably.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So,
just remember, when you're working with your guides and guardians, they are non-agenda density beings, and you are an agenda density being. Their frequencies of time and your frequencies of time do not always align, except when synchronicity is at play. So your agenda-driven personality as an I am being may be going, where is it? Where is it? Is it this week? Is it next month? That's expectation. And it is a challenge to let go of expectation. So the greater frequency of the unlimited point of view can be manifest here in the now.
Okay, makes sense.
All right, Sarkis, I must let you go and move on to the next caller.
All right, thank you so much, Andrew.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. So the next caller is going to be via Skype with the name Know Thy Health. Are you there?
Yes, I am, Andrew. How are you?
And what is your actual name?
My name is Julia, Yulia.
Julia, how are you doing today? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Pennsylvania.
Very nice. So what did you think of the document that I read?
It was very long, and I actually read it before online.
Yep.
I kind of need to give it more time and go through all the little details and things coded in it.
Mm-hmm. So did you have any questions that you wanted to ask today?
Yes, I actually had a lot of questions, and then I decided that I would just ask you about my galactic history, and also if there is something that you think that I should know right now in my life.
Okay. Do you have a list of questions?
Not written a list of questions, no, just in my head.
All right. So what are some of your other questions?
Well, some of my other questions were, a few years ago I started a practice with ayahuasca.
Uh-huh.
And I joined two ceremonial groups. And what happens to me when I'm under the influence is that I hear a voice that kind of speaks to me, and I get a lot of answers to my questions. And I was always curious and wondering, is that my higher self, or is that a separate entity that is related to the plant itself?
Is that only when you're on ayahuasca that comes through?
It comes through very, very clear.
Only when you're on the ayahuasca?
Except for rare occasions where I'm in sort of like a very special state.
Okay. Then that's the plant teacher coming through. With the energy of the shamans that you've worked with, creating the portal so you could hear the voice, understand the message, and learn how to co-create with it at a different level.
Okay.
How many ayahuasca sessions have you done?
have 5 so far.
Okay. What was it like when you did your first one?
It was amazing, and I was told, I was given all the best messages I could have possibly imagined. I was given a hug. All the answers I didn't know, all the questions I didn't know I had were answered, and I was like reassured 1,000 times that I'm doing everything good. That I'm worrying sometimes too much about that I doubt myself too much, but that I'm actually doing very good, and then that I actually belong to the masters. That I'm bigger than what I think I am.
You are. So most people who have their first ayahuasca experience, they go through an extended purging and they've got a lot to learn about their life.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have that.
No.
That's very amazing. Maybe 1 in every 50,000 people can get that.
Okay. I felt very, very natural. I felt like that was my natural state.
It is your natural state, but you also came here to experience another natural state.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times during the readings, when people want to know their galactic history and this and that, sometimes there are other things that are more important to talk about for the greater process of you. And one of those things that I want to talk about, because it's coming up right away in your entire energy frequency, is, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you really been in a long-term relationship?
Well, I am in a relationship right now with someone, and we have a child who is a 2-year-old boy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But how's that relationship going?
It started very, very rocky, and we're trying to work on it.
Trying to work on it. Is it taking away from your bigger experience now, minus the child, just having to deal with your husband?
It used to, and I'm taking it as a lesson to stop giving my energy away to whoever that is in my life, and just and be very selective with what I'm giving away as opposed to what I'm putting to myself.
There you go. Now the next level here is you've identified what's going on in the relationship. Are you ready to have a relationship with spirit in the same way you would have a relationship to a husband?
Yes.
Because that is what's coming for you. Part of that reassurance by the plant and animal medicine communities was to prepare you for a whole new relationship. You have a child and a husband. So think of it as a synthesis, child and husband, but via spirit. And that companionship is going to grow, and it's going to ask you to split a little bit of your time and no time, and having a bigger understanding of the messages that are trying to come to you in these moments of now. Messages of create great inspiration and inner genius that are asking you to pick up a document and start writing. Because there are great messages that your soul wants to tell this world during the Great Dreamtime Awakening. So we were talking about coming into power with the greater companionship, with the medicine frequencies that are speaking to you. And you were asking, how can you connect to these frequencies when you're not on the medicine?
Mm-hmm.
That's the journey of the shaman. The one that has to walk that path every day, balance the lines of light and dark so there's a sacred neutral point of view, so that there's an unlimited sacred neutral point of view, and not a finite point of view of light and dark. The path of the shaman is asking for you to take up magical processes, to engage with yourself, the inner genius that knows deep down inside the message is there. It's a matter of getting in the right frequency, in the right place, with the right amount of trust, with the right amount of personal energy and intent invested into the process, so that there is a great result.
So you're saying that it's a shamanic path is destined for me, pretty much?
I don't want to use the word destined, because it's a choice. You do have a choice. when you had your first, second, third, and fourth ayahuascas, those were all choice points to go deeper into the greater message. And now you, I am, have to make a greater choice point. How am I going to synthesize what's going on in my life now with also what Spirit is asking me to be a part of on the greater purpose? How do you balance them? What is it that you need to do in personal ceremonies and rituals to make sure the self-healing and self-nurturing is there, so that when it comes time to enter high-frequency genius mind, that you're able to translate and understand the messages of Spirit?
Yes. I'm really working on a neutral perspective. I'm really trying to learn from you about the sacred neutral. You're the first person that brought that term into my consciousness, and it really, really spoke to me. And, I'm really trying to practice that more and more, of having the neutral perspective.
Yeah, it's a challenge at times, but it is a life path also. The sacred neutral point of view assists us at the greater understandings of who we are, what we're doing, where we're going, how we allow it to react to us, and all of those inner things that come with it. What was it about the sacred neutral point of view that really got you?
The way I see that the real truth can only come in a sacred neutral perspective. That whenever you're not in it, you're actually getting a tainted version of the truth. And since, just the person I am, I'm only interested in the pure truth thing. So I know if I want to get that, I have to be in a sacred neutral perspective.
Yes. I'm going to read you something that in early November, I just finished. In about a week and a half time, I wrote a book. I'm going to read you something that's about the sacred neutral point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And this is titled The Universal Citizen. The universal citizen acknowledges the beauty found in truth and knows all spiritual practices contain spiritual truth. The universal citizen honors each and every path of every creature being. It allows others to explore life in their own way without hindrance, scorn, or criticism. The universal citizen abides by the basic law of unity and equality for all forms of creature life. The fifth world asks us to blend spiritual practices and accept spiritual truths so we may evolve the whole concept of spiritual natures for ourselves, our family, clan, nation, and Mother Earth. In the past, many forms of religion sought silence in the monasteries, caves, or places of power. The fifth world asks us to learn a way to make spiritual evolution happen in the concrete jungle of two-legged creation. By blending the teachings and co-creating in the ever-present, we as two-leggeds learn that all spiritual practices need to have space as well as time to evolve in the fifth world of peace. The sacred neutral point of view is a representation of our spirit evolution in the present world of life. It means you have healed enough of yourself to heal others. It means you live the facts. All beings have a sacred inner space. All beings need room to evolve with their life path. It means you have set aside dogmas and political views to reach the understanding that all life is sacred and needs love without strings or covert motives attached to endorse a method of change. It means you have accepted that all spiritual practice contains spiritual truth. It means you do not demean or endorse one path as being the only way. It means you have lived life as the neutral observer and still co-created a life path without polarity, interfering with our spiritual daily evolution. It means you have accepted our all paths have personal merit to the free-willed spirit expressing their form of faith, love, and what defines that person as spiritual. All faiths need room to evolve and endure the passage of time. It is with our personal input our faith will evolve beyond its current definition. Following a sacred neutral point of view as a life path is not easy and requires the courage to face ourselves as total beings, to repair, renew, and recycle that which does not help us evolve in the present. It will require time inside yourself, healing any wounds. By learning our cycles, we begin to learn how and why we need to heal ourselves during those moments of internal dialogue. The sacred neutral point of view is an internal dialogue teaching you in the ever-present moment of now.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're on the path. What is it that is stopping you right now?
I feel I'm still working with some past trauma issues from my childhood. I have a feeling it's connected to my biological father. He's not. He kind of left us. It didn't work out between him and my mom, anyways. But it was very painful for me, and I feel like in some way I may be repeating that pattern in my life, and I'm still working on like getting rid of it, as well as getting all my energy back to me, to myself. So I'm trying to work on cord cutting and recalling my energy that I spend, maybe, using incorrectly. I don't know how to put it in correct terms right now, but like gathering all my energy back into myself.
Okay. So that is a lifelong process. That's not something you can just wrap up and do in one day, like cleaning the house. So many people forget that. Let me tell you something. When it's part of healing the soul, you think you could have everything done, and then the higher stone drops down another bag of luggage, and another bag of luggage, and another bag of luggage. It's like cutting grass. Every week, the front yard, the grass has got to be cut. Your ceremonial input time to resolve those personal issues with your father, your mother, your husband, or anything else that's in your field that needs remedy and resolve is your personal choice as the sacred, neutral, life path co-creator with the divine source that you know you are deep inside. It requires you daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly to use hindsight and foresight in the moments of now, to engage the sacred discipline, the sacred intent, and the higher forms of learning and understanding through our DNA memories, through messages and visitations from our guides and guardians. And then ultimately the mantle of responsibility falls into your lap. Do you choose to truly do something with it and make it manifest real now in your life? Or is it just going to be a forms of ephemeral communication that are driving you forward and educating you, but aren't truly evolving you to the next stage of co-creating with the Great Spirit, working through all divinity sources here in the present? And your divinity source, through the activation of the medicine, has a direct line of communication with you. If you should choose to take up the mantle of responsibility and find time within your daily habit patterns, weekly, monthly, and yearly, and engage the shamanic frequency of sacred intent, making everything sacred, deciding what is recreational, and not breaking your own rules of something being recreational versus sacred, you'll be on the great path of the great work, inter-co-creating with your divinity path self, knowing what is right for you in the moment of now, developing the companionships in the unseen, non-agenda world, so you, the agenda seen being, can have a greater understanding of what's going on between the seen and the unseen world.
Yes. There are so many important messages in what you're saying. I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me when you are speaking like that. I almost go into a trance.
I have had many people say that to me from my very first radio interview with Tracy Kennedy on Halloween 2012. I acknowledge that when I go into the flow like that, I'm agreeing to have my agenda, contract, soul, contract-driven self, and my non-agenda, non-soul, contract-driven fourth density self to be in communion and union, So the genius frequency is engaged at all dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes. So when I speak to you in that formula, I'm also speaking to your guides, your guardians, all of your past versions and future versions of yourself, including all potential versions of you that exist on other timelines. And that trance feeling that you have, it just shows you how tuned you are to the higher density messages. And for anyone else that's out there, if you're feeling a trancey frequency when you hear me doing this stuff, that means you are tuned to the higher messages. You have a little metaphorical FM radio station that you can tune into, that you can also broadcast from. If you make the I am choice of the now to be in equal co-creation with your agenda and non-agenda side, non-hierarchical order, non-competition, engaging the DNA super technology of communion and union, so the perfectness of the flow is understood by all versions of the self.
Yes. Is there something else that you see in my frequency, Andrew, that I should know right now, something that will kind of help me to get to the next?
You got some minor health stuff going on, and most of this is stress-related, frustration-related, old arguments related. You've got, I just want to say, like, where your ears and your jaw meet, there's like this hunk of energy that hasn't moved in a very long time. Whether it's you biting your tongue and not saying anything, or you had long moments where you were screaming and yelling, it has left a trauma in that area. And it's important that you go and seek some form of deep tissue massage, cranial sacral therapy. You're not going to be able to get away with just plain old Reiki and some other stuff. You're really going to need some form of point manipulation there, because the jaw and the occiputs are directly related. Your occiput, which is the bones underneath your ear that's connected to your skull, are actually out of place. And that's creating a restriction of cranial fluid in your atlas and your axis. So that means your tailbone is actually, 2 or 3 quarts low on oil. And that's one of the reasons you experience a haze every now and then. Your body's like a slinky. It has a delayed reaction at times.
Mm.
Okay? So you need to go and get body work, especially maybe 15% of the total amount of energy that's coming up out of the ground is coming through your feet. The other amount of that energy is actually coming in through your calves and your shins. Your feet are actually quite blocked. So having someone that can do very accurate heel massage, like where the base of your heels are, there are 5 specialized pressure points that release the Achilles tendon and a number of other muscular interactions and ligament interactions that are in there. So finding someone that can do heel massages, as well as finding yourself your own still point activator. It's something where you lay down flat and it's got 2 little plastic knobs that go at the base of your neck. You are really, really going to need those for your ever-evolving journey. Your feet to be reconnected and all of the energetic systems and pathways to be connected to it, particularly the way with your feet and your body drains fluid. Do you notice times that your feet really swell and then go away?
No, not recently.
When was the last time you've seen swollen feet?
When I was pregnant with my child. They were very, very bad.
Yeah. Well, you have it. You just don't see it as bad as what you did before. And this is from your adrenal glands, unable to process some of the bigger things that are going on there. So something that would be very, very beneficial for you is to read up on adrenal gland therapy, and that comes down to iodine consumption. Mm-hmm. So there are products out there such as Dr. Lugal's iodine and a variety of others, but you're probably looking at 3 to 5 months of iodine therapy, easy, to get your adrenals back under control, and then to do some form of extended colon cleansing. A, because you were pregnant 2 years ago and you've had a variety of arguments and issues, you need to get the junk out. Yes. And once the junk is out, the greater journey can continue. Okay. Purify yourself. See these next couple months as truly purifying the body so it can be the instrument of reception of the Great Spirit's words. And you can be the instrument of manifestation into song, drumbeat, document, or prayer. Are you going to be planning another ayahuasca journey soon?
I am planning to continue with that on a regular basis. Usually, I have been doing it every 6 months approximately. So the next one's coming up in about 3 months or so.
Okay, so you're going to do a solstice or an equinox?
It usually falls on like sometime in May and then sometime in November.
Okay. So you can begin your purification process, do the colon cleanses and so on and so forth, and begin to practice your shamanic journey. Okay? The document that you read, that you saw on the Facebook and the one that I read today, make that a regular part of your repertoire so you too can engage the genius being. Use the document as a reference, a bar that is to be set so that you too can reach that highest level and understand what the agenda and non-agenda side is.
Okay, I will do that. I've been working with a lot of your contract revocations, all of them, and the shamans, the revocation of a shaman, I've done that one too. That one was very powerful for me.
Yeah. When I wrote that one, I was in a very special stage in my life. I had gone to a ceremonial fire, and I'd asked the Great Spirit and the Great Creation, what is it that the greatest mission that I can do to help those on the shamanic path? And from that, I had the vision. And from that vision, I created the manifestation of what is the shaman's death. It is a document that I use for healing in my private sessions. I can have people read out a handful of lines or sometimes the whole thing, and I'm able to do a healing on them. A healing that can be so profound if they read it out with their own power that for months or weeks afterwards, they find themselves letting go of the old processes that have held them behind so they can leapfrog to where they're supposed to be. Have you written any of your own contract revocations yet?
No, I haven't.
Well, that's something you've got to put on your list between now and your next ayahuasca trip. Can you write one just for yourself? Can you write one that deals with the old pains, traumas, and hurts from your father? Can you write one that's about how the world is affecting you and your husband and your child? Can you write one about the pharmaceutical industries? Can you do that? Can you engage your genius? Because Spirit is asking you to engage your genius.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I just feel like I'm pulling my leg a little bit because I feel like I still need more healing. It's like I'm obsessed with needing more healing so that make sure that the message I put out is not tainted by my own pain.
Yeah, but you just said the word obsessed. That's a faux pas. That's your parasympathetic just telling you you're obsessed with it. Healing never ends. It's a daily, weekly, monthly, lifetime process and journey. You cannot clean it in the house in one day and be healed and be done. Doesn't work that way.
But do I have to, this is a big question in my life right now, do I have to learn from pain? Why do most of my lessons have to come from painful experiences? Does it have to be that?
That is forced evolution.
Huh.
So when we finish this call, go back to the Facebook post and read it again or print it out. Mm-hmm. You're talking about pain. Pain is forced evolution. Mm-hmm. Not all of it is forced with the implicate order of self-denial and taking away of the greater power. But it is a way for the system to imprint upon us a way of learning so it's easier to accept another way of finite existence. Mm-hmm. If you are truly an unlimited point of view, an unlimited being, you can at any moment in time change your signature frequency match so you are not a match for learning through pain. But you are a match from learning through spirit, learning through life, with all of its great mysteries invested and involved.
Is there something specific I can do to change my frequency to like get that programming out of myself?
It is a choice and a follow-through. I can say doing shamanic work will give you the greatest soup of potential creation, but it'll be your work, your individual intentions, your individual sacred ceremonies that will ultimately make the greater difference. This goes out there for everyone out there that wants to do that, that's thinking how much more I have to heal. At some point, you are a healed enough healer to heal others. I believe you're already there.
Okay.
But are you ready to accept it? Are you ready to accept power? Are you ready to accept your position in Great Spirit's plan? To be a divine, free-willed co-creator holding the mantle of responsibility of great creations, of honest and true integrity and an impeccable self, who cannot be pecked away by that hierarchical order demanding mediocrity. Can you let go of mediocrity, engage the sacred discipline, and accept the power of the visions you've had in your many ayahuasca ceremonies?
Yes, I can.
Then choose it and become that signature frequency match by making the manifestation via document. That's the simplest way. If you don't want to write it out, make it a song. If you don't want to make it a song, make it a piece of artwork. But it needs your intent to make a manifestation in this world, to do the great work, to clear the great clearings, so that the signature frequency of you is no longer a match for learning through pain.
Yes.
So you have any last questions you want to ask? We got about 2-3 minutes before the show ends.
About my child, I was given several messages that he is a very special child. Is there something you see that you think I should know about?
Well, yes. He's destined to be a shaman also.
Okay.
What does that mean to you, though?
Validation.
That also means you have to step up on the path so that you can teach him. All right, darling, that's the end of the show. So stop on by the website, andrewbartzis.com, for further updates when the next show is going to be. Take it easy, everyone.